Hey everybody, welcome to another coaching call for the Niche Site Project 2. I've got Perrin on the call here with me. How you doing, Perrin?
Pretty good, man. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So we've got another fun-filled evening planned here tonight. And actually, it kind of starts to get a little more exciting, I think, for me because we've gone through the whole creation phase where, we've got something up and running. You've got your site. But now we actually are going to plan to get some traffic, do some promotion. So hopefully this is the point where we start to make some sales and see
hmm
some more interesting things happening.
Yeah.
So I took the liberty of jotting down a few ideas for an actual agenda for our call tonight. I know we pretty much fly by the seat of our pants here on most of the calls, and I'm sure we'll still do that here tonight, but there's at least a few points that I wanted to cover. So I've got my little agenda here. So first I want to just follow up with you on the content plan, what you've got there, and plans going forward. Then we're going to go into the overall promotion plan of the site, and that's going to involve building some base links and hopefully start attracting Google and actually ranking in Google, and then a bigger overall content marketing, link bait type strategy to hopefully attract better links and get more traffic to help you rank more naturally in Google. So those are some of the big picture points that we're going to hit on tonight. Anything you want to add to the agenda, or does that sound good?
No, yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so just starting there at the first point, why don't you give us an idea, and in fact, maybe I'll just pull up the site as well so we can look at that. Should have had this ahead of time, but I know you've got, at least last time we spoke, you were, I think you had 10 articles up and you were
hmm
working on 15 or so total.
hmm
What are you at about right now as far as amount of content that you have?
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I stopped at 15.
Okay,
So
and I'm
I
just
am
pulling it up here.
yeah, I'm right at 15. Um I added a couple more reviews and a couple more articles, and several of them were longer, and by longer I mean anything over 1,000 words.
Hmm.
So everything, I think there's one article on the site right now that's under 1,000 words, and all told, it's something like 18 or 20,000 words of content.
Wow,
So,
nice.
so everything is over 1,000 words. A couple of them are around 2,000 words, and most of them are around 1,200 or so words. So
So
there's
yeah, a large amount of content. I assume the ones here under recent reviews, those are the most recent articles that you've written.
those are the most recent reviews, but
Oh, reviews.
yeah. So and I think there are also some in the recent posts.
Recent posts, yeah, down here. So how to get the best shape possible, how to sharpen a straight razor. Um,
Yeah, both of those are pretty long, I believe. There's a lot of information to cover.
yeah, so no, that's great. So 15 articles of in-depth content, really. So we've got a nice base site,
Yeah.
what I would say. And so you can certainly keep adding content, but at this point, I really do think it's important to start focusing a little bit on promotion like we're going to do to hopefully see some of this work pay off for you.
Yeah.
Um, and also, since the last time we at least recorded a video, you've added a lot of Amazon affiliate links. You talk about
Yeah.
in your last post how you had to manually go in and change all those links,
Yeah.
which unfortunately was a lot of work, but it is done. You've
hmm
taken care of that. I also noticed that you've got a couple of banners up here. Up at the
Yep.
top, you've got the Amazon Health and Personal Care. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I was just thinking around, and I mean, I'm totally green when it comes to like on-page click-through optimization. But like that space looked empty, so I just put one up
Hmm.
there.
Yep. No, I think that's good. I mean, it won't get a lot of clicks.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be the in content, and the chart that you've created. Those are going to get you a lot better click throughs.
Yeah.
And then it looks like you just added another Amazon banner down at the right hand sidebar on the bottom.
Yep.
as well. So that's fine. And then as far as going forward, do you have any questions for me as far as content?
I don't think so. I think just keep plugging along. I mean, I have a list of 30 or 50 or something keywords that I can keep go off of or keep going off of if I want to write more, if I find a couple free hours, or if I want to just order a batch, you know.
Hmm. Yep. No, that sounds good. So you've got, 30 plus keywords, potential article topics, and I'm writing this down for everybody else listening out there that maybe at this point they should maybe do the same. Come up with some additional keywords that you can start thinking about potential articles, and you can obviously write those yourself or outsource those. Which at this point, like I said, you've got your base set of articles. You maybe don't need to worry too much about that right now, but maybe in 2-3 weeks you might see how things are going. If you're earning some money, maybe outsource some of those articles.
Yeah, and just for anybody wondering, based on like the high quality outsourcing places like Textbook, or if you're outsourcing big articles, it comes out to something like 15 or 17 bucks an article or something.
Yes, very good point. It does. That's probably what people should expect to pay, $15 to $20 for maybe 1,000 word article, something like
Hmm.
that. So good point. So I think that's good enough, for the content plan. Our immediate focus now is going to be on the promotion plan. And um, we've talked about this,
Hmm.
Perrin, over the past couple of weeks, sort of played around with some different ways that we can get links, what we're going to do to start building links, and other things. And so I want to put that down on paper, if you will, so everybody can see what our plan is and
Hmm.
then start actually executing that this week. So the first step is we're going to build a base set of links. I don't have a magic number here, but let's say something like 100
Yeah.
base links. Just to give people an idea, we're not talking 1,000 links. Just a nice sort of base set of links from I'm going to just say general places, general link building strategy, and and then we'll
And
go into step 2 here a little bit later. But so for base 1, last week or the week before, I asked you to go out and start finding around 15 or so larger blogs or other, websites that maybe are authorities in the niche here. And
mhm.
have you been able to do that?
Yeah, I probably did complete overkill on that step actually.
Yeah.
And I was chatting with you earlier today and shared my spreadsheet with you, but I ended up making a spreadsheet with about 100 targets on it. But right around between 10 and 15 of those are authority niches and probably or are authority sites that have to do with either shaving or facial hair. Um, and then another 10 or so are authoritative sites that are vaguely related. So like men's fashion sites that have some shaving articles or some facial hair articles or things like that. So I have about 100 total targets and then probably 20 that would be worth targeting aggressively.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and there's a couple of reasons why you're going to want to have at least those core 15 to 20 larger blogs. And the first is certainly doing some blog commenting. That can get us some very basic links, sort of get your name out there, and hopefully some of these, as you start maybe interacting on their blog a couple of times, you can email them separately and at least let people know that you exist. So the idea is twofold. One, to get that base set of maybe comment links. Second is what we're going to discuss in a little bit later for step 2 are bigger promotion plans. So you want to have some contacts in the industry that can maybe help you promote your blog through link bait or content marketing. So to start, we're going to do some blog commenting, and I am going to want to maybe pull up your spreadsheet here in a minute. But some blog commenting, and then I'm going to just put down here dozens of other general link building. And I already shared with you a resource over on John Cooper's site at Point Blank SEO that lists, I think, like 197 or 200 different ways that you can build links to your site. And that's everything from blog comments to general web directories, business directories, article marketing, RSS feeds, finding resource pages, you name it. So that, as much as I could go out and try to think of all these ideas, that's really just an awesome resource because he's already documented it.
Yeah.
And so that is basically what I'm having you do, and for people listening out there, use the Point Blank SEO resources page. And let me pull that up so people can see that. Here's the site, just pointblankseo.com, and if you go to the strategies link, I'm going to give John some props here on the call. For sure, he's done a good job. And let me just resize this real quick. But basically, what you're going to want to go do is find, maybe 10 different categories here and get a few links from each of them. Okay, so I'm not going to read all of these. Like I said, there's almost 200. But for example, one of these is resource pages. Websites often have pages on their site that say, here's a resource of all the best shaving blogs or whatever, or men's personal care or whatever, personal grooming sites, and you can find those and ask them to add your site as a resource link. So, that's one strategy. Go out and try and get a couple of resource links. Profile links. You can create, a profile here on crunchbase.com and input your information and then link to your website. You're going to want to do a few of those. You can research your competitors, which I've talked a lot about. You go to Open Site Explorer and you see the links that your competitors already have and see if you can just duplicate those links. There's article directories, and actually I'm not going to have you do probably any article directories or Web 2.0 submissions or press releases. Those are pretty low quality for the most part. Type links, and it's just not worth the effort because you have to write this huge original article, and it's sort of old school, isn't as effective as it used to be. There's things like infographic submissions. So if you create an infographic, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, you can, right here's a list of 27 places you can just submit that infographic, and there's 27 links pointing to your site. Company directories, video submissions. Anyways, goes on and on. Logo design, that's something you could do right now, Perrin. You could submit your logo to a few of these places that allow you to submit your logo and link back to your site. It's sort of freebie links. You should do this. So, for people listening, this is basically what we're going to follow. We're going to look through this list, find the lowest hanging fruit, if you will, the ones that are easiest right off the bat, to start getting some of those base set of links. And Perrin has gone through and created a Google Doc that I'm going to try and find real quick. While I'm doing that, Perrin, maybe you can talk through anything you've discovered as you looked at that resource of links, Or you know what? Maybe even better is tell us how you populated this Google Doc. I mean, you came up with 100 sites or whatever. How did you go about finding all of those?
Yeah, so it was mostly just a couple hours, not a couple hours, a little bit more than that, probably a handful of hours of searching for a set of keywords that my articles are targeting. So things like safety razor, shaving brush, shaving soap, wet shaving, and trying to link those up with footprints that will lead me to blogs where I can comment. So the document that Spencer's about to pull up is
Yep,
I
right here.
probably want to blur out the list too. Um, but the document that Spencer is pulling up is the product of all my research, and I broke those up into tiers. So my first tier has like my highest priority targets, and these are 11 blogs that have authority and are very relevant to my niche. So the page authority is like the page authority of their home page, and some of them may not seem very relevant. You know, like a page authority of 43 for a home page doesn't seem super relevant, but a lot of the ones towards the bottom of the first tier are sites that came up over and over and over again when I was doing research for my articles, so I know they are showing up in the results that I'm targeting myself.
hmm
Um,
Yeah, no, and I mean, that's still a great page authority. I mean, it's obviously not quite as nice as some of the others, but
mhm,
yeah, no, for being as specific to your niche as it is, that's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yep. And then the other ones are either relevant blogs that um, don't have very much authority, and or blogs with lots of authority that are only partially relevant, and those are mostly like men's fashion sites.
hmm
And there's a lot of stuff out there. For those of you who are also in the shaving niche, there's a lot of men's fashion sites that I just didn't tap into at all. Um, So I listed all those. I had a lot of success looking for Blogspot and WordPress blogs.
hmm
Um, and I think, my general strategy here is, so if you can see, I have two sheets at the bottom. The first sheet is entire blogs, and the second sheet is single post opportunities. So
hmm
on the second sheet, we have that, like, those would be random shaving articles and totally unrelated blogs that I can go try to comment on, but it will be a single post opportunity. For the first sheet, all of these blogs, ideally, we will be able to comment on more than once. And the reason I broke it up that way is because I think it's really important to identify the blogs in your niche that will accept your comments, so that instead of just commenting once and getting that link, you can become a part of that community and get obviously multiple links, but then hopefully make some connections as well.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's awesome the way you broke it up. And definitely, we are commenting to get a link, but the link isn't really of significant value because most of these are going to be no follow. Um, it's just going to be minor. It will help us get a nice base of links by having a diverse IP set. Lots of different websites pointing to us is good. Lots of different
Mhm.
linking root domains. But the second point of your comment was excellent, that you're really hoping to eventually be a part of the community, and maybe even contact some of these blog owners. That
Mhm.
way, when you release something that's awesome and you say, "Hey, would you mind, tweeting this or sharing it on Facebook, or, would you consider allowing me to do a guest post or whatever?" It's not the first time you've shown up. They go, "Oh yeah, this guy's commented a few times. I'll at least read his email."
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's kind of the whole point.
Yep. And yeah, so there's a list of 100 targets, and it would be really great if we ended up with 5 or 6 authoritative, relevant blogs that I could comment on a regular basis and get to know people there. You
Yeah,
know. Mhm.
absolutely. And then there's another tab here, and I can hide, we can, hide anything we need to,
Yeah.
so everybody doesn't just copy this, but
Yeah. Yeah, and these are basically resources page. pages, and I didn't find tons of these as I was
Okay.
searching, especially because after knocking out couple dozen really authoritative blogs in the niche, the smaller blogs don't have resources pages, but this is, half a dozen or so blogs that do have a links page, and they're linking out to blogs that are similar in size to apennyshave.com. So
Hmm.
I was kind of taking note of those, and just so that in the back of my mind I can try a little bit harder to be a part of these communities, or if I have great content or something,
Hmm.
I can ask to be on those pages. But in another thing that I was doing here that I just did on the fly at the end of the workday today is I went through, and I don't even know if this is a good idea, but I went through the medium and lower end blogs, the blogs with a page authority of, 35 or less,
Hmm.
and I picked out ones that hadn't been updated in like 6 months, and I reached out to those webmasters and asked if I could buy them. So I got a couple of emails. One guy said no. One guy said he would entertain an offer. So it hasn't gone anywhere yet,
To
but I
actually
figured
buy their sites.
to buy their sites, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I figured if they haven't touched it in 6 months or a year, then if they can just make $100 or $50 or whatever, then they might take it. And if not, whatever. I can still comment on their blog. But
Yeah.
um, if they're
That's
willing, yeah,
no, that's awesome, man. No, that's thinking outside the box. I like that. Um, I thought you were gonna say you reached out to them, that haven't updated a long time, and we're gonna say, hey, I'll update your blog for you. Would you mind if
mm.
I wrote a great guest post?
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that's a good idea.
you know, maybe that can be your follow-up offer if to the
Hmm.
guy that said no. Maybe you can say,
Yeah,
well, hey, I can give you some free content.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a thought too. Might be cheaper than buying a bunch of sites.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and my only thinking was that like I have no idea how to find expired domains. And so this was a strategy to build a small hyper-relevant blog network.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's excellent idea. And of course, we can go into getting expired domains, how to do that
Hmm.
down the road if we decide to go that route. But
Yeah.
I would say that's going to maybe be a step three. We're going to first step one, base links, step two, hopefully do something cool, get some natural links, and then if we still need step three, we can maybe talk about expired domains.
Yeah.
So very cool. You are way ahead of the game. Obviously, looking at that list, it can be intimidating. As far as the amount of work it would take to go and comment on 100 blogs, to try to get links on resource pages. So let's talk about outsourcing links.
Hmm.
Um, up to this point, I've sort of let you do what you want to do. I mean, of course, you're always welcome to outsource the content, but since writing is sort of the thing you do, it made sense for you to do it.
Yeah.
Um, for link building, what are you thinking? Are you ready to pay somebody to do some work for you?
I really am. Mostly because, and I'll probably like build some links myself because I don't know much about it, but also because I don't know much about it, it does make sense to leverage the talents of somebody who is more experienced. And I want to learn about outsourcing. I don't know anything about it.
Hmm. Yeah, so I mean, at this point, I think it makes sense, certainly on certain types of links. As I pulled up that list, um, from the Point Blank SEO site, there was some things that are very simple to do, but maybe would be time consuming for you,
Yeah.
like submitting your logo to the 10 different logo directories.
Hmm.
That's somebody that you could probably pay somebody honestly like $5 and they could do it to like 10 or 20 sites.
Yeah.
It would take you a couple hours, or you can just pay them. Or there was several that were kind of like that somebody with some experience could do very quickly and would save you a ton of time. So
Hmm.
that's probably what I would recommend doing is finding some of those easier things, and paying somebody to do that. And in fact, you and I have talked previously. Um, I have a link builder that has contacted me that I've been in discussions with that is willing to build several of these links for like 50 cents a link or something like
Hmm.
that. And so we might look into doing that. But just for everybody listening, the way you can find a link builder um, is to basically just post a job on either, I'm going to say odesk.com. You can do Elance. Elance is pretty hit and miss with that. I do better with like sort of higher end jobs, I guess, on Elance.
Hmm.
Um, but basically, if you're creating a custom link building job, which is I think what we want to do, we can list, hey, I want to get, you know, this many profile links, this many logo directory links, etc., and let the people bid. And I think you can come back pretty, with some good bids and hopefully some good options there. So I don't know if we need to dive into the step-by-step how to outsource, but really it's not that difficult. You just kind of, pick what you want, let the bids come in, and try to interact with the freelance people before you actually hire them to make sure they are responsive and things like that, and then you just go for it.
Hmm. Yeah. And so for, I guess, like, I wonder, I mean, I just wouldn't know how to price anything like that at all. So
hmm Yeah,
what, could you give me some guidance there?
yeah, sure. You depending on how big your job is, and the thing is with like Elance and even Odesk, you don't really have to price it.
Mm.
They have their bids coming back. So I think there is an option for the range, the
Mm.
size of your job. I think it's from 0 to 5. Is your job less than $500, or is it 500 to 1,500 or
Right.
2,000 plus or something like that. So this job is going to be less than $500. So that's really all you need to do.
Yeah.
Then they're going to come back and the market's going to tell you, how much people are willing to do this job for.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe this would be a good time. This was a question that I had in my notes to ask you. Um, so why not? Because when you did niche site project one, you used layered links
Yeah.
as your like base link package. So why not services like that?
Um, you could certainly go back to layered links. They're still they're still doing a lot of things that are somewhat old-fashioned.
Hmm.
And so ideally, you could find the perfect service that is going to build all these links exactly like we talked about. But layered links, for example, they're still doing a lot of Web.2, article directories, social bookmarks, and all the articles are spun. Um, so the quality is okay, but not that great. So I guess I'm just taking it a step up from where Niche Site Project 1 was.
Yeah.
Hopefully these links are going to be just a little bit better. Hopefully stand the test of time with Google just a little bit better. So that's the only reason. We could certainly just go to layered links. It'd be a lot easier and be done with. But the links might be so-so, and I'm not so sure that they're going to stand the test of time.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's my reasoning there. It is a little bit more work to go and find an actual link builder.
Hmm.
But honestly, the way I've always done things is to find a link building package. But I've struggled to find just a out of the box package recently that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, you know, Link Builder, these packages have sort of been behind the times maybe a little bit. Things that worked a year ago have kind of changed a little bit, and they haven't changed. So
Right.
it just might make sense to hire somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. And as a general strategy, do you think that is a good rule of thumb going forward to kind of take a look at what's working, put together a list of relatively low-hanging fruit, and then outsource it via mediums like Odesk and Elance?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think that's the way to go. And I mean, if you wanted to get creative or put even a little bit more trust into your link builder, you could actually just post a job and say, I'm looking for somebody that can build 100 high quality links to my site. I want them to be original links. I want you to go out and find original resources. I do not want article directories, Web 2.0 articles, etc. And then you actually hire them to basically do what you just did. You know, go out and put a spreadsheet of 100 great places they could get links from,
Hmm.
and then to go out and do it. So, you know, you could hire them to both find the locations of the links and build the links, which is obviously a lot easier. That way, because there are a lot of great link builders out there that have awesome resources, you know, like certain websites they just know about
Yeah.
that if you haven't been building links for a long time, you might miss. So you can actually find some good opportunities that way, just hiring somebody to research and do everything for you.
Yeah, that's even an option in the point blank SEO list is to hire a veteran link builder.
Oh, okay.
For those reasons exactly. I think Um, and I mean, maybe you run across this. I have kind of a mental block about hiring somebody to do everything, and just like trusting someone to do all of that stuff, especially because in the world of SEO, link building seems like it has the highest potential to be shady, you know?
Yeah. No, I hear you. So, um, one thing that you might want to do is make it a two-step process. You know, first hire somebody to just put together an awesome resource list for you.
Yeah.
You know, and that way you can go through and check and say, okay, these actually are really good places, or no, these look spammy, let's not do this.
Yeah.
And then just the sites that sort of meet your level of quality, you either hire that person or somebody else to actually build the links.
Hmm.
So, no, but I hear you. I mean, but it's one of those things that you have to let go a little bit. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you could just be spending hours and hours doing it yourself.
Yep, for sure.
So it's a little give and take, but very cool. I think that covers the base layer of links pretty well, unless you have any specific questions there.
Let me check my notes real quick. I don't think so. Okay, so maybe this is a good one. So for someone who is doing this themselves, or if we're going to put together a package that we may be able to save a little bit of money on, what do you think is going to get us, or if we're just trying to put together a job that's going to
hmm
have good impact but also be cost effective, what are some of the link building strategies that we could put in there that would give us the most impact for the least effort or least cost, do you think?
That is a really good question. I think some of those are going to be things like finding link resource pages,
Hmm.
certainly some of the blog commenting on some of the more authoritative blogs. Um, Probably profile links.
Profile links.
Yeah, things like crunchbase.com, where you can go in and create a profile for your company or your website, and they allow you to link back to your page. And honestly, there's thousands of these, you know, profile type links.
Yeah.
You know, they come from very authoritative sites like crunchbase.com. You can hire somebody to say, hey, I want an experienced profile link builder. I want them to find me or, you know, send me a list of 30 of your best profile link places.
Hmm.
And then you can go through that list and say, these look good, and then ask them to build a link for you. So profile links, you know, blog directories like technorowdy.com, things like that. Um, just trying to look through some of these. And then some of the other things like we talked about, infographic submissions, logo submissions. Those are going to be some of the lower hanging fruit. And I'm sure if I look through this entire 200 list, I could come up with a few more. But
Hmm.
that's going to be a good start. Does that answer your
Yeah,
question?
yeah, it does. Yeah, I'm just, I mean, because, this is something I'm probably going to do tomorrow. So as I'm putting together this job, I just kind of wanted to get a feel for what I should be asking for.
Yeah, yeah. So I probably should have written some of those down. Profile links. What else did I say?
Let's see,
Logo.
link resource pages, blog commenting, and infographic and logo submissions.
And yeah, I think that's
And maybe I have things that I picked out of that list that have I picked mostly high value links, but there are some that still seem easy.
hmm
So maybe we can add those. And you tell me what your experience with them, because I have no idea. But some of them that seem easy are Q&A sites, like answering questions
yeah.
on Yahoo Answers or whatever.
hmm
Um, forum posting.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't, I don't. I mean, the link builder that you and I were talking to made a good point that said that if you just start posting links in forums, they'll ban you a lot of times because the community is so tightly knit.
definitely
And sometimes you have to post 20 or 30 things before it'll even fly, but it's still not, hard.
right. Exactly. It's not hard. You just have to spend a little bit of time.
Hmm.
But Q&A sites and forum postings, I would say, are more for the traffic usually.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of the link, like a Yahoo Answers, it's a no follow. It's, probably coming from a page that doesn't have much authority. So it's not super high value, but yes, it would be easy to do. Similar with forum posting. Forum posting actually could be quite good depending on the forum, how active it is, and you can certainly create a profile page on that forum as well, usually, and which allows you to link to your site from that page. So no, those are great strategies as well.
Hmm. Cool.
Um, okay, so those, I mean, I think those are some good base links. Um, Step two is more, what did I call it? Content marketing or link bait. Um, these are hopefully going to be your higher quality links. And you know what? Let me back up real quick because people are certainly wanting to probably know about anchor text. And I'm going to basically say for your base links, don't use keyword anchor text for the most part. Okay, so don't be linking everywhere saying, best safety razor. Okay,
Right.
just make it natural when you comment. Just leave your name or a pen name, whatever you decide, but just a name. When you link from, the other directories, logo directories, link resource pages, or blog, or Q&A sites, all that stuff. I wouldn't worry so much about anchor text. Just make it your website name or generic, like click here or read more. Um, don't go crazy with the anchor text.
Yeah. So if you're posting a job for an outsourced link builder, should you give them any direction at all?
Yes, you would want to give them direction to not use anchor text. And in fact, you'd probably want to break it down. Say um, use a pennyshaved.com or variations, with the HTTP. Maybe come up with a few variations like that and say use that, 50% of the time.
Yeah.
And then things like click here, read more, get more information, general non-keyword anchor text, use that 20% or something, and then the rest of the time just very anchor text, no exact match keyword, something like that. So tell them, do not use exact match anchor text. You want to make
Yeah.
that clear.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so yeah, and in fact, they probably wouldn't even know what your exact match keyword is since you have your, sort of brandable domain.
Right.
So you should be okay there. So just vary it. Keyword anchor text still helps, but if you overdo it, you get in trouble. And so what would be great is if when you do some, bigger link building, like let's say we do some blog outreach and you're able to get some guest posts, if you're able to get exact match anchor text there from, a really authoritative place, that's going to really boost you.
Hmm.
Okay, so you want
Mm-hmm.
to save sort of your keyword anchor text for
Your best links.
some of your best links if you can.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's not always going to work out that way. Some of the really great links that you get are still going to be no match. It's just going to be your domain name. But if you have some control, yeah, and so you want to do it on the better places. Exact match anchor text, I'm going to say 10% at most. Okay,
Right.
so definitely by far most of your links are just going to be other things. Or partial match is okay as well.
Mm-hmm. And by partial match, you mean
So instead of best safety razor, maybe it's just the anchor text is like safety razor options
gotcha.
or something. So it includes some of the keywords, but not all.
Cool.
Um, so, but the idea is once we get that base layer of links, we want to do some bigger things. I wrote guest posts there. That's one thing to reach out to those people you've contacted. But we want to think about some link bait opportunities that we can do, and we've discussed, of course, some either funny or unique infographics
Mm-hmm.
or sort of interesting articles. I don't know if we want to share, any of those ideas, but just sort of, quirky things related to shaving that maybe we can write up that, if you're to read the title, you'd be like, huh? I want to read that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's something very shareable, social, so that when you create that, you can go out and say, hey, Mr. Blogger that I've contacted before, I just posted this on my site. Would love it if you, mention it on Facebook or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, and actually, just to save some of the niche pursuits community some time, I pulled out some of my favorite ideas based on what I've read about link bait and also the point blank SEO list.
Okay.
Um, so some of the things that I liked were ego bait, which is basically writing about other people in a really flattering fashion and then letting them know about that. And they're probably going to know because if they're on WordPress, they'll get a track back anyway.
Yep.
Um,
And people have seen this before, probably in lots of different ways, but we can go into that in more in depth. But I want to see what else you have here.
yeah, a free tool, and I'm not going to give away my idea for a free tool, but there are lots of like calculators out there or things that you can that like there's a like someone in the last post posted drop my link. That's a great free tool. It's
Mm.
really simple, but like I've already linked to it 3 or 4 times myself.
Yep.
Um,
Absolutely.
quizzes, everybody likes to take a quiz. It's like the Cosmo magazine effect,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's about yourself. Debunking myths. I won't give away my idea for that one, but um, anything where you can stir up a little bit of a buzz, or anything that's going to fit into the Today I Learned category on Reddit,
Yeah.
I feel like is something I would click on. And then interviews with other people in the niche. Because obviously if you interview somebody, they are going to be linking back to it probably, or you can ask them to.
Yep.
So those are just my favorites, as I mean, as I was brainstorming today. But yeah, who knows?
Yep. And I'm going to just add list posts. That's another one. Create the 50 best resources,
Hmm.
ever in this niche. I can think of one blogger in particular. He essentially launched his entire blog with 100, I can't remember the title of it, but it was 100 best blogs in this particular niche. And he wrote this huge, in-depth, it's kind of a, combo of ego bait and list bait because he linked to 100 different blogs, and then he emailed 100 different bloggers and said, hey, you made it to the top, list, you're Studley, or whatever,
Yeah.
and said, here it is, check it out. And
Yeah.
his blog is awesome now. Like, that sort of launched his whole thing. So list posts work great, and tied with ego bait. And certainly we could do that in this niche with, here's the 25 best resources on shaving, or the 25 best shaving related bloggers. You'd have to come up with a good title,
Hmm.
but you get the idea.
Yep. And glossaries might fit in there also.
Ah, yes. Yeah, just a huge resource of all the terms in the niche.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is like I was looking for one of those in shaving and I couldn't find one. Badger and Blade, who's the biggest forum in the niche, has a good wiki page for most stuff, but a consolidated list of terms is something that's hard to find, and I imagine that's true for lots and lots of niches.
Mm-hmm. Pretty sure I spelled that wrong. Yep. But yeah, so there's tons of things that we can do, and Perrin and I have bounced a few ideas
Hmm.
off of each other that I think would work quite well. And of course, the idea is to create this awesome resource, or quiz, or whatever it is, and then to go out and promote that. Starting with people, hopefully we've already got a little bit of a relationship, just to get that little bit of a boost. But then, of course, just sharing it everywhere else, contacting people by email, and hopefully lots of people link to it or come to the site from Facebook or Twitter, and just enjoy the resource, and the site will ideally just grow in authority and get some great traffic from Google as well.
Yeah, that's one of my questions about that actually. Is for so is it doesn't matter at all that these resources will presumably be pointing to their own page and not, say, the home page or your primary keyword target.
It still helps. I mean, what it's going to do is, yeah, probably, you know, most of the links are going to come to that direct page.
Hmm.
But a lot of people, if other bloggers pick something up, they'll probably say, hey, I just found a great resource from Perrin at a Penny Shaved, and they might link to your homepage.
Yeah.
Here's the top 50, coolest people that shave or that have a beard or whatever. So you're going to get some links to your homepage, some to that direct page, but by doing that, it's going to increase the overall authority of your site itself.
Yeah.
And because your homepage links to your other pages, that authority is going to flow through the site throughout. And just by getting, hopefully, a ton of traffic, people will check out your other pages, and maybe you'll get some residual links to your target secondary pages as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of the way it works, for sure. But yeah, that's basically what we're going to be doing, after we do this base sort of link. So we're going to be brainstorming for a couple of weeks to come up with some really awesome ideas, and then hopefully launch something really cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know, anything else we need to cover? I think that gives people a good general idea of the four points that I wanted to cover in my agenda here. Yeah.
Yeah. I did have one question that I talked with you about briefly, and we were figuring that we would chat about on the call. But one of my concerns about link baiting, and obviously I think it's a really great idea, and it lets me sort of unleash my creative writer energy all over the internet, which is awesome. But from like a cost benefit standpoint, and from the point of view that I want to be getting the best return on my time as possible, one of my concerns is that I'm putting time and possibly money into something and sort of hoping it will go viral.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and we talked about that a little bit today, but I wanted to hear your thoughts more in depth.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ideally we are. We're looking for something that would go viral and, 1 million links would be coming, to the site. Obviously, we know that's probably not going to happen, but there is a risk there. I mean, we don't know that this is going to work. We might spend a couple $100 and many hours of our time and not see that return. And so this is sort of, I guess, if you will, a newer strategy that I don't typically do with my niche sites,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's obviously a good long-term strategy. It's a good strategy if you want to build your site into something a little bit more significant. And I think that's what we're trying to do with this particular site, is eventually build it into an authority that can make more than just $500 a month, but
Yeah,
can do much more. So that's one reason why it's the second step. The first step, hopefully, we'll see some, with those base links, some traffic and things like that. The second step is really just another risk. But hopefully we can minimize that risk a bit. I mean, I don't want to go all out and spend $1,000 on an awesome tool or infographic or video. I want to keep it, if we can only spend $100 or $150,
mm-hmm.
and then just a couple hours of our time, that to me would be worth the risk.
Right.
But if we have to spend, if it gets much more than that, spending $300 or $400 and 20 hours or 30 hours of our time, then maybe it's not worth it. So we do need to find a balance there.
Totally.
So we need to think of something on the lower end of the investment spectrum. So that is a good point to make. And then at the end of the day, I wish I had a warm and fuzzy answer for you, Perrin. I wish I could say that if we do this, we're going to conquer the world.
Yeah.
But it's a risk. I don't know if it's going to work. But I think it's much more likely to get natural links
Yeah.
and to give Google what they really want than by just sticking with some of the base link strategies. So
Mm-hmm.
it's almost a risk you have to take if you want to play in sort of the natural link, arena.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, just to argue with myself, it's very easy to focus on the risk,
Mhm.
but I think it's also prudent to remember that the potential reward for something like that is massive. And also in the grand scheme of things, even if your site makes $30 a month for the next 2 years, you're still going to make that $150 back. So
Right.
I mean, like if you're looking at it as a long-term strategy and a long-term website and a long-term asset, spending $100 up front isn't as big of a deal as it might seem when you're typing in your credit card number.
Yeah. No, and that is a good point to make, because I know there's a lot of people out there listening where, a couple $100 investment is a big deal,
Hmm.
where, they probably do need to see their money back, next month or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess I do think long term about this, like you mentioned, that I know that maybe for the first, 6 months, I'm not going to see much return. But the plan is, if I look 6 months down the road, how am I going to build this site up to be number one in Google, to be earning that $500 a month? I think this is a great way to go. So,
Yeah.
so yes, it's a risk. I wouldn't call it a huge risk. I guess depending on how much $150 or $200 is to you, but I think it's a reasonable risk for the amount of return we could potentially make.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a business decision, but it's one that hopefully can get us the links we need.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So, no, great point. I mean, that gives everybody something to think about out there. But that's basically it. Assignments, should we briefly just sort of talk about what you're going to do?
Yeah, let's do it.
So you've already made a list of places to get links, and it sounds like you want to go ahead and outsource some link building, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to just put outsource base layer of links. So the next week, find somebody,
Yeah.
and we can discuss that, of course, this week, but that's kind of the assignment. I'm going to do some blog commenting on your own.
Hmm.
And that doesn't have to be a lot. I mean, that could be one or two a day.
Yeah.
Spend 5 or 10 minutes, get to know your niche a little bit, and just comment. So yeah, not a ton necessarily, but I think it's good to get out there and see what there is. What else? Maybe just keep brainstorming bigger link bait ideas.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of covers it. Is there anything else you're thinking about in the back of your mind that maybe you need to be working on that I haven't put down here?
No, I think I mean, the big one is going to be getting a link or getting the outsourced link builder, like finding someone and getting them started, I think is going to be a major step for the whole process. So
Hmm.
it's good to focus on that. And in the meantime, commenting on a couple blogs, brainstorming ideas, and then, doing some of the things that I've been doing on the fly, like networking with some of the webmasters for
Hmm.
that list,
Yeah,
will definitely keep me busy for the week. And, if I find a couple hours on Saturday, I might try to start putting together some of those link bait products.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. And so for extra credit, you can certainly keep doing some more outreach and even look for guest post opportunities if you want.
Yeah.
Kind of how we talked about. If that makes sense, finding a blog that hasn't been updated in 6 months, say, hey, I'll give you some free content. Interested?
Hmm.
Hey, there's some good links that you can do there, and you can outsource the guest post if you want.
Yeah.
You know, I feel bad that you've had to write everything. Just remember, hey, you can always outsource it.
Yeah, and you know what? Like it does save you time, but I do feel like if you write the first batch of articles, even if it's the first five instead of the just one, it can really help you down the road when you're contacting other people in niche because you're
Hmm.
going to know what you're talking about a lot more, having researched
Hmm.
and written 5,000 words of content in that niche. So
Hmm.
even if you're not a writer, and this was a discussion in the comments for the reveal post, was lots of people don't like writing. I mean, I was a writing teacher for a couple years, and so I know. But even if you're not a writer, just doing as much as you can stand, I think can really help like understand the market and your competitors and all that other good stuff that you need to make business decisions.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The more you get involved in your niche and definitely writing things down for other people to understand makes you understand things so much better.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, big time.
that makes sense. So those are some good assignments, things you can work on. I'm excited to see how it goes.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I appreciate your time. Good luck. I look forward to the results.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So thanks everybody for listening in. Everybody have a good night.